Real Madrid monitoring Mickey van de Ven, future defensive leader for Los Blancos? Hello Madridistas, and welcome once again to El Madridista, the channel where we break down everything related to the greatest club in football history, our beloved Real Madrid. Before we dive into today's topic, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Trust me, what I'm about to bring you today is not just a passing rumor. It's the type of news that can spark debate, ignite excitement, and shape how we all view the future of our club. Today's focus is on a name that is making headlines across Europe. Mickey van de Ven, the young Dutch central defender currently playing for Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. At just 24 years of age, Van de Ven has exploded onto the scene in England, quickly establishing himself as one of the fastest, strongest, and most reliable defenders in the league. His performances have not only caught the eye of Tottenham fans, but also of Europe's elite clubs, among them Real Madrid. Who is Mickey van de Ven? For those who may not know his full story, let's rewind a bit. Van de Ven began his professional career in the Netherlands, playing for FC Volendam, before making a big move to the Bundesliga with Wolfsburg. In Germany, he grew rapidly, refining his defensive instincts and showing glimpses of the qualities that now make him so valuable. Tottenham identified his potential early, signing him in the summer of 2023. Since then, he has become a cornerstone of their defense. What sets Van de Ven apart is his exceptional physical profile. Standing at nearly 1.90 meters, he combines height and strength with blistering speed, something rare in defenders of his stature. In fact, his pace is among the fastest recorded for centre-backs in the Premier League, allowing him to recover ground effortlessly, track down strikers in open space, and neutralize counterattacks before they become dangerous. But he is not just an athlete. Van de Ven possesses intelligence in reading the game, positional awareness, and a calmness on the ball that makes him suitable for teams that demand their defenders to build play from the back. He isn't afraid to step out of defense with the ball at his feet, breaking opposition lines and initiating attacks. In other words, he embodies the characteristics of the modern central defender: strong, fast, tactical, and technically capable. Why is Real Madrid interested? The timing of Real Madrid's reported interest is no coincidence. Our defense, while still strong, is in a transitional phase. Players like David Alaba and Antonio Rudiger have been reliable, but both are now over 30, and we all know that injuries and age can begin to limit consistency. Eder Militao, though incredibly talented, has recently suffered a devastating injury, raising concerns about how quickly and fully he can return to his best form. Meanwhile, academy products such as Rafa Marine and Marvel are still developing and may not yet be ready to assume starting roles in a squad that competes for everything. This is where Van de Ven fits in. He offers something invaluable: youth combined with immediate top-level performance. At 24, he is old enough to handle the pressure of elite football, yet young enough to be developed further into a leader for the next decade. Signing a player like him would not only cover short-term defensive needs but also secure long-term stability at the back. It's also worth remembering that Real Madrid has a tradition of investing in defenders who later became legends of the game. From Fernando Hierro, to Roberto Carlos, to Pepe, and of course the unforgettable Sergio Ramos, the club has always valued defensive pillars as much as attacking stars. Could Van de Ven be the next to join that historic list? The price tag and the challenge. Now, let's talk about the reality: price. Tottenham values Van de Ven at around €80 million. That figure might sound steep, but it reflects his quality, importance, and market demand. Football economics have changed drastically. Just look at the fees paid for Virgil van Dijk by Liverpool or Josko Gvardiol by Manchester City. Elite defenders, especially those who can perform at the highest level for 8 to 10 years, do not come cheap. And make no mistake, negotiating with Tottenham is never easy. Their chairman, Daniel Levy, is known as one of the toughest negotiators in world football. He has a reputation for extracting maximum value from transfers, as we saw with the Gareth Bale and Luka Modric deals years ago. Spurs are also in the middle of building something under Ange Postecoglou, and Van de Ven has become indispensable in their system. Selling him would only happen if an offer arrives that simply cannot be refused. Still, history shows that when Real Madrid sets its eyes firmly on a player, the club usually gets its man. The allure of the Bernabeu, the chance to play alongside legends, and the opportunity to fight for Champions Leagues every season are irresistible factors for almost any footballer. Even if Tottenham resists, Van de Ven himself could be tempted by the opportunity of a lifetime. The debate among fans. Here's where things get interesting, Madridistas. Should we really invest 80 million euros in a defender? Some fans argue that money like this should go toward attacking reinforcements. Names like Kylian Mbappe, Alphonso Davies, or Florian Wirtz often dominate the conversation. But others counter that a world-class defense is the foundation of every great team. After all, Real Madrid's most successful eras have always been built on strong defensive cores, from the Galacticos era to the more recent Champions League three-peat under Zidane. It's also important to consider the bigger picture. Football is faster and more tactical than ever. Teams press high, transitions are quicker, and defenders must be capable of handling one-on-one situations in wide-open spaces. This is precisely why Van de Ven stands out. He thrives under those conditions. Signing him would not just be about reinforcing today's team, but about preparing for the evolving demands of tomorrow's game. Final thoughts. So, Madridistas, the question remains, is Mickey Van de Ven the future of Real Madrid's defense? His profile certainly suggests so: youth, speed, strength, composure, and experience in one of the toughest leagues in the world. The financial aspect is challenging, but the potential payoff could be monumental. Imagine a defensive line for the next 5 to 7 years featuring Eder Militao and Mickey Van de Ven as the core pairing, backed by Rudiger's experience and Alaba's versatility. That is a mouth-watering prospect. For now, nothing is official. But the fact that Real Madrid is monitoring him closely shows how highly he is regarded by the club. As always, time will tell, but don't be surprised if Van de Ven's name continues to grow louder in Madrid circles over the coming months. Madridistas, I leave the debate to you. Would you pay 80 million euros for Van de Ven? Do you see him as the ideal replacement for the next generation of defenders? Or should the club focus its financial power on attacking stars instead? Drop your thoughts below, because this is a debate worth having. Ferland Mendy's future hanging in the balance. Among the many storylines shaping the present and future of Real Madrid, few are as delicate, polarizing, and difficult to resolve as the case of Ferland Mendy. His career at the Santiago Bernabéu has been defined by a constant tension between undeniable talent and frustrating inconsistency, between nights of defensive brilliance and prolonged absences due to injury. As the club continues to build its squad for the coming years, the question of Mendy's role has become one of the most pressing issues facing the board, the coaching staff, and the fans alike. Arrival and early promise. Mendy joined Real Madrid in the summer of 2019 from Olympique Lyonnais for a fee of around 50 million euros, a move widely regarded as a personal request from then-coach Zinedine Zidane. At the time, Real Madrid were preparing for the gradual decline of Marcelo, a legendary figure who had redefined the left-back position with his creativity and attacking flair, but who was beginning to show signs of wear and inconsistency. From the outset, Mendy was presented not as Marcelo's replacement in terms of style, but rather as a new defensive anchor who could bring solidity to a back line that had often looked vulnerable. Unlike his Brazilian predecessor, Mendy's strengths were rooted in physicality, tactical awareness, and defensive resilience rather than attacking improvisation. He was fast, strong, and disciplined, able to track elite wingers and hold his position with maturity. Recognition from coaches. It didn't take long for his qualities to win over his managers. Carlo Ancelotti, who returned to the Real Madrid bench in 2021, even described Mendy as the best defensive left-back in the world, a statement that highlighted just how much the Frenchman's presence brought stability to the defensive unit. On several occasions in the Champions League, particularly during the 2021-22 season, Mendy's interventions were decisive in keeping the team alive against Europe's most dangerous attackers. The injury problem. And yet, despite all the talent and defensive quality, Mendy's time at Real Madrid has been plagued by one recurring issue: injuries. Muscle problems, persistent discomfort in his left leg, and several other setbacks have robbed him of continuity. Whenever he seemed poised to cement himself as an undisputed starter, another injury would arrive, forcing him out for weeks or even months. In modern football, where consistency and rhythm are essential, Mendy's fragility has been costly. Over the course of multiple seasons, he has rarely surpassed 2,000 minutes of play, and in several campaigns he has missed more matches than he has played. In crucial fixtures, such as the Copa del Rey final in 2023, he was absent, leaving the team without his defensive security. A one-dimensional profile. Another factor complicating his situation is his limited offensive contribution. While the modern fullback is often expected to provide width, overlapping runs, dangerous crosses, and even goals, Mendy has struggled to offer much in the attacking third. He is a powerful runner and can occasionally burst forward, but his delivery in the final third has been inconsistent, and he has never been a regular provider of assists. Compared to other left-backs across Europe, such as Alphonso Davies at Bayern Munich, Andrew Robertson at Liverpool, or Theo Hernandez at AC Milan, Mendy's attacking output falls short. While those players regularly contribute goals and assists, Mendy remains primarily a defensive specialist, which has fueled the perception that his profile is incomplete for a club like Real Madrid. Contribution to titles. To be fair, Mendy's role in Real Madrid's recent success cannot be dismissed. He has been part of squads that lifted multiple Champions League titles, La Liga trophies, and other silverware. His defensive performance during the dramatic 2021-22 Champions League run, particularly in matches against PSG, Chelsea, and Manchester City, was crucial. On those nights, his ability to nullify world-class wingers allowed Madrid to survive tense situations and ultimately triumph. Yet the narrative is bittersweet. Just as fans acknowledge his defensive value, they also lament the fact that he has never been able to string together a full season as an undisputed starter without interruptions. Competition and the new reality. In recent months, the landscape has changed even more. Real Madrid invested heavily to sign Álvaro Carreras for €50 million, a young left-back who represents the modern prototype: pace, energy, and attacking versatility. At the same time, the club already has Fran Garcia, a homegrown player who returned from Rayo Vallecano and quickly demonstrated reliability, energy, and a relentless work rate. This means that, as of today, Real Madrid have 3 players competing for a single position, with Mendy no longer the clear first-choice option. Unlike in previous years, when his defensive profile made him indispensable, the presence of Carreras and Garcia now raises real doubts about his long-term place in the squad. The contract situation. Adding further complexity is the fact that Mendy's contract was renewed until 2028. On the one hand, this secures his value and ensures that the club won't lose him for free in the short term. On the other hand, it ties Real Madrid to a player whose availability remains uncertain. Every season, the same question arises: will Mendy stay fit enough to play consistently, or will injuries once again reduce him to a sporadic role? From a financial perspective, retaining Mendy comes with risks. His wages and his long-term deal represent a significant commitment. Selling him, on the other hand, would not only free up salary space but also allow the club to cash in on a player who still has a reputation in Europe as an elite defender. The dilemma. So where does this leave Real Madrid? The dilemma is stark. Keep Mendy, trust in his defensive brilliance, hope that his fitness improves, and continue to rely on him in high-stakes matches where shutting down elite wingers is paramount. Sell Mendy, accept that his cycle may be coming to an end, avoid the risk of further injury setbacks, and hand the reins to younger, more durable options who can offer both defensive and offensive contributions. Divided opinions among fans. Among Madridistas, opinions are sharply divided. A large section of the fanbase argues that when fit, Mendy is irreplaceable, pointing to his defensive masterclasses against some of the best attackers in the world. They believe that players of his caliber are rare, and that Real Madrid should be patient and keep faith in him. Others, however, insist that the club cannot afford to wait any longer. In a team that demands reliability, availability, and versatility, they argue that Mendy's limited offensive skills and constant injuries make him a liability. For them, the signing of Carreras and the rise of Fran Garcia signal that the time has come to move on. Looking ahead. Ultimately, Ferland Mendy's future is more uncertain than ever. His story at Real Madrid embodies both success and frustration. A defender who has delivered on the biggest stages but who has never been able to sustain his form over an entire campaign. Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the debate around Ferland Mendy is far from over. The question facing the club, the coaching staff, and the fans is simple but profound. Should Real Madrid continue to rely on a world-class defender whose body has repeatedly let him down, or is it finally time to close this chapter and invest fully in the next generation of left-backs? Nico Williams, Real Madrid's next big target. The transfer market has always been a theater of dreams, surprises, and high-stakes negotiations. Year after year, the biggest clubs in Europe battle for the signatures of the brightest talents in world football. But few stories have generated as much excitement and anticipation as the growing reports that Real Madrid has identified Nico Williams as one of their top priorities for the coming seasons. At just 21 years of age, Williams has risen from being a promising academy graduate at Athletic Club's famous La Zama training ground to becoming a cornerstone of both his club and the Spanish national team. With his blistering pace, fearless dribbling, and natural flair, he has quickly become one of the most dangerous wingers in La Liga and one of the most sought-after young players in all of Europe. The rise of Nico Williams. Born in Pamplona to Ghanaian parents, Nico represents the new generation of Spanish footballers who embody both diversity and a fearless approach to the game. Alongside his older brother Inaki, who has been a symbol of loyalty at Athletic Club, Nico has carved out his own path. While Inaki is admired for his strength, work rate, and consistency, Nico has introduced a more explosive, unpredictable element to Athletic's attack. He first broke into the senior team during the 2020-21 season, and by the 2022-23 campaign he was already a starter, dazzling audiences with his dribbling and earning a call-up to the Spanish national side. His performances at Euro 2024 elevated his profile even further, where his ability to stretch defenses and create chances for teammates placed him firmly in the spotlight. Statistically, Nico's trajectory speaks for itself. Last season, he ranked among the top wingers in La Liga for successful dribbles per game, progressive carries, and chances created. His combination of raw speed and technical intelligence allows him to adapt to multiple roles on the pitch, whether hugging the touchline as a traditional winger or drifting inside to link up play. Why Real Madrid wants him. Real Madrid's transfer strategy in recent years has followed a clear pattern: invest in generational talents before they fully explode. The arrivals of Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo Goes, Jude Bellingham, Aurelien Tchouaméni, and Eduardo Camavinga prove that the club is building not just for immediate success, but for a decade of dominance. Nico Williams fits seamlessly into this vision. His qualities are precisely what Madrid values in an attacking player. Explosiveness. Few defenders can cope with his acceleration in the first 5 meters. One-on-one dominance. He thrives in isolating opponents and beating them down the wing. Creativity. He's not only a scorer, but also an elite chance creator for teammates. Winning mentality. Coming from a demanding environment like San Mamés, he understands resilience, pressure, and responsibility. Reports suggest that Real Madrid is prepared to consider an offer in the region of €70 million, a figure that, while significant, would not be unprecedented for a club that has never hesitated to invest in potential superstars. Squad dynamics and the bigger picture. The potential signing of Nico Williams comes at a time of transition for Los Blancos' attacking line. With Karim Benzema departing in 2023, the burden of leading the forward line has shifted towards Vinicius and Rodrigo. Yet, both players often perform better when they have reliable partners around them who can share the attacking responsibility. Nico would add depth, variety, and competition to the flanks. While Vinicius dominates the left-hand side, Nico's natural position on the right could balance Madrid's attack, giving Carlo Ancelotti, or any future manager, multiple tactical options. Imagine a front three of Vinicius, Mbappe, and Nico Williams, supported by Jude Bellingham behind them. It would be one of the most terrifying attacking quartets in world football. Furthermore, Madrid's strategy is not just about immediate results. The club is looking at long-term cycles. Players like Luka Modric and Toni Kroos are nearing the twilight of their careers, while the next generation, Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Valverde, is ready to dominate the midfield. Adding Nico to this mix ensures continuity of excellence across every department of the pitch. Competition from Europe. It's no surprise that Real Madrid is not the only club chasing Nico. Barcelona, always eager to secure Spanish talent, has monitored his progress closely. Paris Saint-Germain, desperate to build a new identity in the post-Mbappe era, also sees Williams as an ideal candidate to lead their offensive future. Yet, Real Madrid holds the advantage. The lure of the Santiago Bernabéu, the chance to play for the most successful club in European history, and the opportunity to compete for the Champions League every season are factors that few young players can resist. History shows that when Real Madrid truly wants a player, they usually get him. Symbolism beyond the pitch. Beyond the statistics, tactics, and transfer negotiations, Nico Williams represents something larger. For Real Madrid, his signing would symbolize a commitment to both Spanish talent and youthful ambition. In an era where the club increasingly looks abroad for future stars, bringing in a local hero from La Liga reinforces Madrid's identity as the flagship of Spanish football. For the fans, the idea of seeing Nico glide down the right wing in the white shirt, leaving defenders behind and igniting the Bernabéu crowd, is electrifying. It recalls memories of past legends, Cristiano Ronaldo's powerful runs, Gareth Bale's lightning pace, or even Luis Figo's mastery in wide areas. While Nico is his own player with a unique style, his potential to create unforgettable moments is undeniable. A glimpse into the future. If the deal goes through, the long-term picture is clear. Real Madrid would secure one of the best young attacking trios in world football. With Vinicius on the left, Nico on the right, and potentially Mbappe or Endrick leading the line, the club would once again set the standard for attacking football across Europe. The investment in Williams would not just be about signing a promising winger. It would be about reinforcing a dynasty, ensuring that Real Madrid remains at the top of world football not only today but for the next decade. Final thoughts. The whispers are growing louder. Nico Williams, once just a young talent from Lezama, may soon find himself under the brightest spotlight of all, wearing the iconic white jersey of Real Madrid. The operation would be a bold statement to Europe, a reminder that no matter how competitive the market becomes, Real Madrid remains the most powerful magnet for the best and brightest talents. Madridistas, can you picture it? Nico Williams sprinting down the right wing at the Santiago Bernabéu, the crowd rising to its feet, defenders left in his wake, and the ball crashing into the back of the net. It's not just a dream, it could be the beginning of the next great chapter in the club's legendary history.